Welcome in to the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast. Robert Glasscock, Thomas Miller. We're recording this episode in late August, early September. We're right on the edge there, right on the cusp of months of 2023. And right now in the sky, just in the last, as we have been running up to this episode, we have had Mercury enter retrograde, Mars opposed Neptune, the Sun was opposite Saturn just the day before we recorded this. Also yesterday, as we're recording, Mars entered Libra. Libra is Robert's sun sign, but it's a grumpy sign for Mars because Libra is opposite Aries, which Mars rules. So that puts Mars in detriment in Libra. Also, Uranus is slowing to a crawl and goes retrograde tomorrow after we record this. And the moon enters Aquarius, which is, of course, the sign ruled by Uranus. Then we're a couple of days away from a full moon, certainly in that weird window. September begins with the moon entering Aries, the sign of certainly initiation, but also the sign of aggression. Now, that's just locally to what's going on right now. But with all of that in the space, I've been hearing of a lot of people facing challenges, and our very own Robert Glasscock also went through a recent significant challenge in his life.
Yes, I did, and I'll be happy to share it with you. On Wednesday, Thomas, I got an email from Best Buy saying they were going to renew my total tech support package for 2 years, and they were about to bill me $400 and something on my credit card. And I realized I don't use the Best Buy total tech support at all, and so I thought I'm going to cancel this thing. So I clicked on the link and was taken to tech support. I thought Best Buy tech support in India, and they managed to get me into my bank account on my desktop and basically wiped out my savings account. I didn't know this until the next morning, because when we were done with the process that this guy in India stepped me through, and when I went to bed that night to resolve all this, I looked at my bank accounts on my phone. Oh, great. Everything's back to normal. My checking account's normal. My credit card's normal. My savings account's normal. I also have a business account separate from that, and it was normal too. Then I woke up the next morning and looked at my bank accounts and went, what? My savings account has $5 in it? What? It was identity theft. In fact, my bank branch manager had the same thing. Her husband had gotten roped into one of these things a couple of years ago. So the result of all of that was I spent really until yesterday having to contact Social Security, having to get a new driver's license, having to file a police report, on and on and on, contacting every credit card company. It's just been a nightmare.
Boy, that is Mercury retrograde and Uranus retrograde on steroids, my friend.
It is on steroids.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, it's worked out fine, Thomas, because everything is I'll never get the money back. It turns out, everybody thinks their money in the bank's insured by the FDIC. It is, but it's only in the case of things like bank failures. Fraud? No. Because imagine, and I understand this, millions of people get scammed like this, and the bank's not about to refund money on all those things. It was your fault that you got defrauded.
Well,
so I learned some very valuable lessons through all of this. And today, thankfully, I'm reasonably calm because, of course, they planted something on my computer. Meanwhile, so when my tech support guy got here on whatever day it was, he instantly found it, took it off, so I don't have to wipe the whole computer. So it has worked out very well because I really did learn the hard way a very valuable lesson.
Are you okay now?
Yeah, I am okay, because what I finally realized, they were not able to touch my business account, thank heaven. And finally, when all of this is through and filing the police report, all of that, I finally thought, all right, how long is it going to take you to replace this lost money? And I realized it won't take me very long. So in fact, I'm fine. And that old phrase, this too shall pass. It does. It's not the end of the world. It's not my death. It's just fraud. And yeah, it hurts. But in fact, I'll be able to replace it. And so I learned a lot out of this experience. In fact, I just got another one of these suspicious. This time it was from Amazon. Sorry, your order cannot be replaced because your card has expired. And yada. Amazon cards don't expire. So I just clicked delete instantly. So everybody is getting these. And I've seen YouTube videos, Thomas, of these India sweatshops, 100 or 200 people in these little cubicles committing this fraud all around the country. I mean, the world.
Around the world, yeah.
And I'm not making a slam on India, believe me. It's like any other country. There are criminals everywhere, and here they are. So they hit me, and it was my own fault. So I learned a lot there, and I also learned, again, a lesson about money. It is only money. That's all it is. And you can earn more. So don't get devastated about something like this. You're an innocent guy. I won't call myself an idiot for falling for this, but you're an innocent guy who got snared in fraud. This happens to a lot of people. So that's my story.
We had a YouTube listener put a comment on YouTube right after I put this out on Fun Astrology, and they said that they had identity theft as well. And then because we have Mercury in retrograde, Mercury, of course, communications, but also transportation, Uranus, sudden surprises. A guy that I follow, and some of you probably know of him if you are into this at all, he has basically taught the whole world how the financial markets, how the algorithms trade in the financial markets. His name is Michael Huddleston, and he is known online on Twitter and YouTube as ICT, or the Inner Circle Trader. His son was involved in a motorcycle accident on Friday before we're recording here, a couple of days before, still under this umbrella of energy, and is alive but is in very serious condition in ICU. So his name is Cody. If you guys think of it, just say a prayer for Cody. But, Robert, what I'm amazed, really, like, aspects happen all the time. Squares, oppositions, Saturn, Pluto, you can bring them all to the table. They're all there every day. But it seems like this has been stronger and broader. It seems like more people are being affected by more severe stuff.
Well, I think so, too. And Thomas, I have to tell you, the morning that I discovered this on my phone, looking at my bank accounts, of course, I was blown away. But the first thing I did was look at my chart. I got into my Kepler software, got my natal chart, got the transits, and sat here and studied those for 10, 15 minutes. And that's all it took. And for some reason, it's not that it gives you control over events, but it does give you a sense of understanding and therefore control over your experience of this. But the astrology of it has hit a lot of people. And so I was really looking at my horoscope in relation to these transits. But these transits here are universal. They apply to everybody on Earth. Now, not everybody on Earth is going to go through having a son have an accident or having identity theft. But to some degree, everybody will experience something that falls under the umbrella of, back then, Mars was in Virgo, opposite Neptune. Now it's in Libra. And by the way, Mars in Virgo was going over my Mercury in Virgo, which is near my Jupiter in Virgo, in my 9th house of legal papers, credit cards, all that legal stuff, the Social Security, the credit, all of that 3rd house, 9th house communications. I must have spent 4 hours on the phone just to get these cards canceled and reissued and so on. Nerve-wracking. 3rd house of nerve. It just fit very clearly. But once I calmed down enough to think, all right, how long is it going to take me to earn this back? And I went, fine, I can live with that.
We have 6 planets in retrograde with this. That is not, I would say, common, but we did have a stretch last summer. It was a couple of weeks earlier than it is right now, or sorry, it was a couple of weeks later. This is earlier. When you have so much retrograde action in the chart, what are we looking at as far as transits and then 25 years from now, if you're doing a reading for somebody who is born under this particular condition, what a reading that might be. I mean, some, kids are being born every day and they have this chart. What are they going to grow up with?
Well, in terms of people being born with retrograde planets, I think of retrogrades. Here's the word, retrograde. Any word that begins with re, is consistent with retrogrades. Everybody's afraid of them. Oh, I don't want to take my car in for repairs because it's Mercury retrograde. I said, are you nuts? That's what Mercury retrograde is for. Whether it's your body or machine or anything else, repairing. Repair. Of course you get your car repaired under a retrograde. Any word, revisit. And that's what I had to do, is revisit all of these legal papers that are important to everybody's life. Identity theft. Repair, remodel, revisit, return, revise, and so on and on and on with the words. And people born with a lot of retrograde planets will tend to have lives where they're always grappling with exactly that. They think they're done with something, but they're not. They have to return to it and do something else and correct a mistake or refine it. And this is what it's great for writers. Oh, I don't like to write under Mercury retrograde. Well, you know the phrase, writing is rewriting. And as a television writer, you bet it is. It never stops. Because the producers are, oh no, let's make the little girl a little boy. Let's make the collie dog a horse. So it's always refining, and that's the real key, I think, to retrogrades is don't get discombobulated, refine it. And man, this whole process I've been through has helped me, I mean, drastically refine some personal attitudes, habits, and so on, because it brought me up so short. I thought, okay, I've got it here. Here's what I need to do. And of course, refining and revisiting is what I've been doing with all these legal and identity papers, clearing them up, healing them, and so on. Now, you don't want to start something new under a retrograde, because that's not a revisiting thing. I'm writing this book about reincarnation, which is all about retrogrades. It's a reword. So there's no reason to fear them. And you'll read in the books, retrograde planets at birth tend to indicate that the energies of that planet tend to go inward first rather than outward. So here, for example, somebody born with this chart has Mercury retrograde at birth. They will always, all of their lives, second guess themselves, not because they're idiots or doubtful. It's because they want to make it perfect, which of course you can never achieve, but that's the way they live their lives. So even making decisions, Mercury, they will go inward first and then make the decision. I have Moon in Aries in my third house, and as a younger person, I made impulsive decisions and acted on inspiration and whims and so on. But with Mercury retrograde or planets retrograde, they'll be faced with an issue like, all right, do you want to buy this car or lease this car? Let me think about it. They'll go home, think about it. They internalize it first, whatever the planet is, and then they express it. That's at birth. So with people, it depends on the aspects too. Here, Mercury's in a grand trine, for example, which could be good. But the idea of constantly rethinking your decisions, that could be a liability to a person. They never feel like they've really made the right decision. They're always worried about whether they did or not. They're worried about, did they do something wrong that they need to correct? It's a kind of undermining attitude toward life. And you can look in the background and ask them if, for example, either their parents or their community kind of was in conflict with them, or if even they came from a family that did that very thing, undermines that child's confidence in their own decision making. I'm the kind of guy, I got Capricorn rising. I use everything that happens to me, including identity thefts. I can't tell you how much a better place I am today, just 4 days after this, how much a better place my life is than before this happened.
Well, that's good. That's a good way to turn it around, my friend. And thank you for sharing that story. This is some powerful energy. Wow. I guess one other thought is we know from the solar arc practicums and some of the other things that we've been doing here, even on the podcasts, of looking into what's around the corner in the charts, that things are definitely speeding up and moving in certain directions. Hey, if you'd like to talk to Robert, yeah, he still is booking. In fact, he's booking now more than ever. So the link to that is right there in the show notes. Thank you guys for your support of this podcast. We really do appreciate it. And it's, of course, at times like this that we know you're there and we're here, and we appreciate the relationship. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast with Robert Glasscock.